Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name is Nick Bryant, and I'm really pleased to be joined this morning by Rory Bry. Good morning, Rory.
Good morning, young Nick.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it's good to see you. Now, Rory's company is called Rory Bry. He is a people strategy consultant. On his website, he helps businesses to create a highly engaged, super motivated workforce that add real and sustained value to your business. Mission statement is to help businesses and organisations retain their best assets, namely their teams. It's all about teams, Rory, isn't it?
All day, yeah. Every day. It's all about the bodies in the building.
Absolutely. Let's go back like we always do with Brilliant Businesses. Tell us how you learnt those skills and your story up to now.
My trajectory to this point is the most obvious and logical.
Right.
I almost became an accountant.
Okay.
Left school, had the grades, but then met tax and auditing, and we weren't friends. So I ended up moving from there into the marketing and advertising industry. So I spent time doing account management for a supermarket brand back in South Africa.
Okay.
Where we had fun things like turning around a radio advert in 9 different vernaculars in a week and getting them out to different radio stations and all sorts of fun and games. Right. I then ended up at summer camp in the States because I decided to take a 1-year break.
Right.
That was 4 years.
You enjoyed it so much, obviously.
Oh, it was amazing. It was magic.
Yeah.
I had 5 years of endless summer. So I was in South Africa for summer, and then I went to North Carolina for summer and back and back and back.
Yeah.
And what I ended up, and that was where I first started to notice that I was good at the people stuff.
Okay.
Because some of the kids that were homesick would come and talk to me, and I was able to help them navigate how they were feeling and what was going on, and just ask simple questions and create space. Turns out that's called coaching.
Right. Yes.
But at the time, I was just a friendly counselor from Africa that they wanted to chat to.
Yeah, right.
Through that time, I then found the performing arts. So I spent 10 years in the performing arts, doing full-time acting.
Okay.
Which obviously means part-time, anything else to pay the rent.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of time in restaurants and that was probably one of the major formative things, looking back now, that helps me do what I do now. Because
well, you're serving people and the way they're reacting to you and the way you react to them, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
right.
Reading your audience, understanding the room, figuring out what people need. So some people need more of a butler, some need more jokey, and you create what you need to create. So you create the environments at each table. They have a great experience. They leave happy. Hopefully they tip you well.
Yes, of course. Yes.
And then through that time, I then met my now wife and realized that landlords want money instead of love and hope, which actors live on.
Yeah.
And so what that meant is I moved into the corporate space and started initially in customer service and operations.
Right.
And in that time, my teams just performed differently.
Okay.
And I mean, some people might use the word better. I always stick to different. We don't know it's better until we've tested the different.
Yeah.
But my line managers would always be like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Just being me."
Yeah.
And then they started to interrogate what I was doing, and we found out that I had a bit of a process which I was just doing organically.
Right.
Which was all about the people, and invest in all of those things and places and individuals. And then when you add processes around competencies to that, which is where people strategy really comes to life.
Yeah.
That's when you elevate teams. And so I spent a long time as a customer service operations, moved into a little bit of the training / L&D space.
Right.
And all the way through, I noticed that people came to chat to me instead of HR about life stuff.
Yeah.
And they would trust me and I could help them. So once again, that coaching piece rumbling through, which then ended up with us moving countries. Obviously, the accent is clearly from Sussex. So yeah, we've been in the country 10 years now, and landed here, once again started in ops training, but my heart was always to get into a place where I could go into businesses and help them create those amazing high-performing teams, amazing cultures, but also heart-centric, empathetic, compassionate workplaces, which weren't toxic and rubbish.
Yeah. Words that you say that don't suck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In short,
in your words.
in short, cultures that don't suck.
So did you set Rory Bry up, or was it called something else, or how did that company evolve? become where it is now?
So I started it many moons ago.
Right. Oh, okay. Right.
In this country. But essentially, it's the funniest and most illogical story as to how it got its name.
Yeah.
I was like, what are the chances that roaringberry.com is available?
Yeah.
When I was setting it up, and it was like, turns out it's available.
It was there, right? Okay.
So I bought the domain name, and I was like, well, that's my business.
That's it then, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then, just slowly but surely, alongside a previous role when I was still employed, I had a really kind and compassionate employer that was like, I can see this is where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it for us.
Okay.
And then we'll give you wiggle room.
Right. Right.
To go and adventure off and play. And then in 2020, when nothing exciting happened in the world, I decided to go full-time.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And have been loosely full-time ever since, with the odd bit of consulting along the side, with some stability of one or two things. But been doing what I can to help businesses ever since.
Nice. The wheels went in motion, as it were. Now, something that I found interesting is because when you're dealing with teams, the words that you use are really important, and the words you teach them to use are important. Now, a little bit of a briefing you gave me is that you don't like it when people use the word probation for new members of staff.
Yes.
It's the wrong approach because it makes them feel judged, doesn't it?
Yeah. For me, when you hear the phrase, oh, you've passed probation, let's brutally put this together. You didn't suck enough to let me let you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's not encouraging.
It's not a good way forward, is it?
It's not.
No.
But if I say to you, Nick, congratulations, you've graduated your induction. Well, that sounds positive.
That's nice. Yeah.
That makes me feel like I've done something that has value, that has meaning. And the reason I've made sure that you've graduated your induction is because I set you a plan on day one. And I said to you, I don't need you to be perfect in 3 days.
Yeah.
I need you to be perfect in 3 months. And this is how we're going to get there. And you've passed your competencies all the way. So each time, it's a little win. It's a little win. It's a positive momentum. Yeah. And all of a sudden, 3 months later, I'm saying to you, congrats, man. You have graduated from your induction. You are engaged. You are bought in. You are just fired up to do the best version of you in this business to take it forward.
Yeah, yeah. And
words matter.
Yeah, completely. And therefore that moves into staff retention, because that must be a real big problem for some firms, because people are being poached all over the place as well, aren't they? And if they've got a good reason to go somewhere else, whether it's money or whether it's a better opportunity, I don't know, but if you can find them happiness in what they're doing, then they're going to stay.
Absolutely. Yes, money does help.
Of course, yeah.
But there is more and more research coming out where people are staying in jobs with amazing cultures instead of jumping for 10% more.
Yeah.
No, 50% more, people are probably going to die.
Of course, yeah.
But if you're pretty much on parity with other places in your industry or your area, depending on what the person does, but the current working environment is supportive, encouraging, and all of those positive words, people are staying.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, we spend, depending on which maths you look at, upwards of 70% of our life at work.
Yeah.
You don't want it to suck.
No, you want to have a good time, don't you?
You want to have a good time.
Yeah. We do a golfing network together called For Business, which has helped your business. I know it's helping mine. Now, you also mentioned that you help businesses with Lego.
Yes.
Just talk us through how you do that, or what's involved with that.
So, for me, play and creativity is a key part of who we are as humans. And we have this weird thing as grown-ups, I don't like that term, or adulting, but where we sort of go, oh, I'm a grown-up now, I have to be serious, I can't have fun.
Yeah.
So we turn parts of us off. So we're not at 100%, and then we try to run at 150%, which just, look, I'm not an accountant, but that doesn't make sense.
No.
So when you add creativity and play into any of the training work that you're doing, the staff interaction work, the team building work, you can access that playful side of you, that creative side of you, the non-judgmental side of you, and then you can create connection.
I like that, yeah.
So if I'm doing a team building day and we bring the Lego, people are also talking about the Lego and not themselves. We all know we're talking about yourself. So if I make the first exercise of a day, build something that represents how you're feeling today, and then somebody says, this represents somebody that's feeling overwhelmed and maybe a bit tired because they had a bad night. Okay, so you are feeling overwhelmed.
Okay.
But now you're more comfortable to talk about it. because it's a step aside.
Yeah, right.
So it's a way to shatter our own gumph
Yeah.
and let people be free.
Yeah.
It's a way to tap into the play, tap into the creativity. I'll never forget, I did a Lego session for a company where within 15 minutes, 3 people were in tears because they just like cracked open through play
Right.
how they were feeling.
Right.
And the boss said to me afterwards, she said, "You got more out of my team in 30 minutes than I've got in the last 6 months."
Amazing.
And it was just through the power of play.
Just through the power of playing Lego.
And the power of Lego.
Yeah, I like that approach. That's really, really good. And just moving on further with that, some of the things that we've spoken about before is, and you mentioned that there's never the wrong time to invest in your team. Because, I mean, there must be lots of reasons that put people off. You know, they're busy doing other things and they think they're okay, but it's a constant thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People strategy, when done, in my opinion,
Yeah.
correctly,
Yeah.
is a continuous iteration and intentional thing that you do. And I know that depending on time in the business and a plethora of other things economically and socioeconomically in the world at any given time,
Yeah.
as you said, there's always a reason to not do it. But when you look at the data, engaged and high-performing teams can have things like increases of up to 23% in productivity. Profit can go up 15%. Now, imagine putting more money on the bottom line without touching the top line
That's
by
nice.
investing in your team. So there is literally never a wrong time to be investing in your team.
Yeah.
It will always, when it's done intentionally, correctly, and allied to your strategy, have a positive ROI.
Yeah. Okay. And no matter the size of the team?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. 1 up to 100, 500.
The bigger the team, the more intentional and structured it has to be.
Yeah.
Because you can't get 5,000 people for an away day.
No.
It's a tricksy. But when you're sort of in this sort of SME and growing part of the company, so I'd say under 500 is like stretchy.
Yeah.
Where you can get the whole team together still. But when you're in that sort of maybe 5 to 250 range, strategic, intentional, frequent,
Right. Yeah.
is the key.
Yeah.
I can't help you fix your culture and create a high-performing team by doing one random away day a year.
No, of course not. No.
It just doesn't work.
No.
But if we come in and we do an intervention every 3 months, but then also some smaller bits of training with your managers as to how to check in with people, then all of a sudden on a random Thursday, you're getting an email from me going, "Hey Nick, just checking in, make sure you're okay." And you're thinking, Rory's thought about me today.
Yeah.
No, Rory was told 6 months ago to put it in his diary.
Yes.
So that he checked in with you.
Yeah.
So that it did happen.
Because people need to be constantly motivated, don't they? I mean, they do, in a day job when you're working away, if you're just being forgotten, it must demote you, devalue in what you're doing. So if someone keeps giving you their time and showing you how to do things and motivating you, that's obviously that must help, because as human beings we just fall by the wayside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing that I have to often encourage and remind businesses to do is not abandon the superstars.
Right.
And you'd think, well, they wouldn't. But if I know that you're my rock solid superstar, I don't need to do anything. You just crack on and to get it done.
Yeah.
But I don't talk to you for a month.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are. You're going to still start to go, well, why doesn't he talk to me anymore?
Yeah, and I bet a lot of businesses overlook that.
All the time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we put all of our energy into the misbehaving
The kids.
versus the behaving.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
and this is one of the things that my time at summer camp actually taught me I didn't realize it at the time, but when I look back, I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
We had a swim lake.
Right.
Now, we didn't want the kids to run around a swim lake because injuries, wet, crash,
Yeah.
not a good thing. So we had 2 options. We could either tell them, don't run, or walk, please. Unsurprisingly, walk, please got a higher level of compliance
Yeah.
because we were asking for the behavior that we wanted. But then we would also encourage the people that were walking next to somebody that was running by going, Billy, good walking, man. And then
rubbed off.
Somebody that wasn't walking, that was running, that did want the attention, suddenly realized that that was the behavior that I should do to get the attention that I want.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Because ultimately, we're all just children that want attention.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So when we intentionally have that in our brain when dealing with people, and that's not in any way, shape, or form to minimize or diminish them as humans, but we all want to feel seen, valued, heard, appreciated.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, in a weird way, if you're not getting that in positive behavior, then you misbehave and then you get shouted at, but you get attention, and so you feel seen.
Yeah.
And then you learn, welcome to our brain.
Yeah.
You learn, oh, well, if I do that, then he talks to me. Okay, then I'll do that again. Then he talks to me again. This is great. This is fabulous.
Ego's being stroked, isn't it?
But that's not the behavior I want.
No.
Whereas if I'm a misbehavior over here and you spot me doing something well that you do want as a behavior and you praise that and you stop praising this, or praising by talking to me,
Yeah.
then I'm going to go, oh, okay, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
And then I do this, and then you do it again, and I'm like, I found what I need to do now. And all of a sudden, I have got the behavior that you want because I'm doing the behavior that you have encouraged, motivated, noticed, highlighted, insert the word you want over here.
I love that. Yeah. It's a sort of a really indirect way of doing it without them realising that it's happening. It's nice, yeah. Now, there's something that you said also that with company culture, that it's not that hard to get right, but it's also very difficult at the same time.
Yes.
Well, explain that, because I can't work that out.
So for me, treating people well, giving them praise, giving them the right system, structures, and procedures to succeed is easy.
Right.
Nick, on a Monday, I need you to arrive at 8, do this by 9, this by noon, and by 4 o'clock when you leave, this needs to be done. And when you're doing that, there'll be this awesome coffee station, and at noon on Mondays, because Mondays can be a bit of a Monday, we have pizza parties, but other food is available if you want something else. Now, I've just given you a beautiful environment to succeed and do all the different things. So that's simple, but we're humans.
Right, I see where you're going with this, yes. Yeah.
And so some days, I walk in a grump, and you've done nothing wrong, but I just whinged at you because I haven't got the right mindset. Or I didn't give you enough structure. So I've said, Nick, get this done on Monday, and then shouted at you at 2 o'clock because the 12 o'clock thing isn't done, but I didn't tell you it needed it by 12.
Yeah.
So it's easy, but it's not.
Yeah, I get it now. I get it.
Totally get in our own way.
Yeah, well, human beings as well, isn't it? You know, all these different moods that you're playing into there. You know, you've got to take into consideration what's going on behind work and at home, as well as. So and I guess you have to build that into what you're doing to appreciate that as well.
When people get it and sort of understand it, it's as obvious as breathing.
Yeah.
But until that point, it could be as difficult as rocket science.
I love the way you speak. Now, you did a TED Talk recently.
I did.
You did, which was only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
It was a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
And tell us a bit about how did that feel? I mean, it's a real privilege to be able to do that. As I said, when we were speaking before the podcast, if you can say you've done that and it's on your CV, you know, people really, really take you seriously.
No pressure.
What did you talk about?
So my talk's title was How Improv Could Help Save the World.
Right.
And it was, highlights version is, I took some of the key tenets of improv or improvised theatre, for those that don't know what it is, and explained how if we all took those to heart and used them in our day-to-day lives, we would just interact differently in the world that we bring.
Okay.
And there'd be a lot less mischief, shall we say, polite word, and a lot more positivity, and I would call them heart-centric relationships, empathetic, compassionate, beautiful things.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible process.
Yeah, right.
So there was a written submission, and then a video submission, and then down to an in-person audition, and then down to an on the day.
Right, okay. You don't just rock up. There was a massive process involved.
It was a huge process involved. And then we had dress rehearsals and a tech rehearsal, and like it was a proper experience. And I'm not going to lie, at some times it felt like a fever dream. Like it was just like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I was so present in it, and it was just everything that I could have wished of and more.
Well done, because it takes a lot to do that. That's scary. So where can people watch that? Is it on your YouTube channel, or where
It'll be on the TEDx channel.
On the TEDx, okay.
And I'm going to link it off my website as well.
Right, okay. So is it available now?
It's in the process of final edits.
Right, okay.
So in the next 2 weeks, it'll be up.
Okay, well, as soon as it is, I'll put it underneath this podcast as well, so people can refer to it.
Perfect, thank you.
That's really good to watch. Now, also, it's Masters weekend.
It is
Isn't
Masters
it? Now,
weekend.
You're a great golfer. We love playing golf. Who do you think is going to do it?
So
It's a tough one, isn't it?
it's probably the best field in years, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I have a certain favourite name.
Yes, of course. That's where I was going to go.
I wouldn't mind if a certain chap from Northern Ireland finally ticked off the Grand Slam. If it wasn't him,
Yeah.
my 3 that I would love it to be from would be Colin Morikawa.
Right.
I would love Rosie to get it just because he's been
He's
there.
been there. Yeah, he's got a. Yeah.
He's been there and thereabouts, and he had a phenomenal first round. And then my absolute outsider would be Tyrrell Hatton.
Right. Okay. Why not? You've got to have an outsider.
Got to have an
Are
outsider.
you a betting man?
I've been known to dabble
Flutter?
a little bit.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I'm not putting hundreds down. I'm talking pounds and
Yeah,
pennies.
well, that's
but,
right. Yeah. Let's not be silly.
but yeah, no, I'll put a cheeky 1 or 2 on.
Yeah, good for you. We're a member of a golf networking group called For Business, and Rory he hosts our group, gets up, he does his 60 seconds and tells us all about his business, like I was saying earlier, building with Lego, doing teams. But I suspect on the golf course, you learn a lot about people as well, and people's mannerisms through their work, and it's a good place to. Okay, sometimes you mirror other people's manners, and that must be a big part of what you do, and recognizing how people mirror other people to get what they want from them.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
It is very fair to say.
Yeah.
Also, the golf course does an additional bit of magic,
Yeah.
because if you look into the science and psychology of it, we kind of have 2 states.
Right.
We have our normal state, how we behave, how we interact, how we are, and then we have a stressed state where we will sometimes behave differently.
Yeah.
So you could have the world's calmest, most idyllic, zen-like human in the normal world, steps onto a golf course, hits 3 bad shots, flings a club into a tree, breaks another one over his knee, throws his bag in the water and storms off.
Yeah.
Stressed state.
Yeah. And surprisingly as well, isn't it? It takes you back. God, I didn't expect it to be like that.
Absolutely not. So yes, you get a good opportunity to get an insight into people's worlds through the way that they're interacting with it and you on the course.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's also a beautiful time to network and grow those relationships, because I'm also infinitely aware that, and humble enough to say it, I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
Okay.
And that's fine. So spend a couple of hours with me on a golf course and decide if you want my special brand of madness rampaging around your building and helping your teams, or if you're just a bit too crazy for me. We'd like a slightly more traditional, quieter version. That's fine.
Yeah.
And there's some people that I know that I could refer people to, but sometimes people go, we like your special brand of madness.
Yeah.
Can you bring it in?
Well, I think I've spoken to a few people about this, and when someone asks you what's your USP, and obviously it's you, especially what you do, it's you, it's the way you do it, and it's the way you approach it, and it's the way your method is, as opposed to someone who does the same job as you.
Yeah.
And that's important. So therefore, spend 4 hours with Rory, and you can decide.
Always up for a round of golf.
Yeah. Okay. So what sort of businesses are you looking for, Rory, to help? Is any of it, obviously we mentioned earlier the size, but
so
any sweet spots?
For me right now, there's one place that I really would love to do more work, because I think it's an area that's underserviced right now.
Right.
Which is those companies that are going from sort of scale up to grown up.
Okay.
Which are anywhere starting between, say, 8 and 20 at the low end and growing to the 50s, 100, 150, 200s.
Right.
Because once you cross probably 15, 20 at a max people in the building, you can't style it out anymore.
No.
You need processes. You need an onboarding process. You need an induction process. You need competencies that they're going to sign off. You need to make sure that your management team is getting management training.
Yeah.
Like how to have the messy, hard, human stuff conversations.
Yeah.
Because the number of businesses that I've seen that the only problem is that the people aren't having difficult conversations. When I wade through all the other problems that people are showing me, okay, that's not the problem, that's a symptom.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's a symptom. That's the problem. And when people are not comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations, everything else falls apart.
Yeah, they're the ones that need help, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you have a bigger growing team, you can't just, let's pop around the pub and start it out. No, we need to have a process now.
Yeah.
We need to make this work. So for me right now, I would love to be working with those scale up to grown up businesses. So starting anywhere between 8 to 20 staff, all the way up to 50, 100, 250.
Right.
Because I know that I can make a material impact to their bottom line.
Yeah, okay. They're the ones to look out for. And for them to get in touch, is it roaringberry.com?
Yeah.
Yes, you said earlier. Yes, nice and easy one that you bought. Yeah, very good. So, yeah, well, thanks, Rory. That's really interesting and lovely talking to you. I could talk to you all day. I really could, but we can play some golf and do that. So anyone out there that thinks that Rory can help them, watch his videos, watch this TEDx video coming up. Just give him a shout, because I'm sure that you can probably do like an initial consultation, a one-to-one or something like that with people.
Yeah, depending on where they are, either in person or virtually.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to do, especially if I'm doing an in-person one, is just arrive a little early and just sit and listen.
Right. Yes. Work it all out.
Because it's just part of my process. I've been trained to find these things now.
Yeah, like if you could be a fly on the wall in those things, then you could learn so much. And which will help them so much.
Yeah, and that's part of my discovery process. Is I literally have a fly on the wall day.
Right. Okay.
So I arrive.
Yeah.
If they have a large physical building, if they're all online, then I do it differently.
Yeah.
But if they have a physical presence, I literally will go to the building and I'll just hang out for a day and just listen and watch. Listen and watch.
Love that. I love that. Well. Once again, thanks, Rory.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. And we'll see you all for another podcast soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Cheers.